this button. Perfection. Today we are talking all about fueling the flame, build belief that spreads. I have worked in multiple organizations and I can attest to that when there is a shared negative belief from a team, it is like a never-ending spiral downward. People start to believe it so wholeheartedly that they can't even believe there is another way forward. And so I need every one of you leaders aware of that. But also, I want you today so excited and empowered that positive belief also creates an upward spiral that moves even faster. And so, if we can understand how belief helps to shape people's experiences, helps to shape the results that you see, then you can really become the captain of your culture to truly step in and build that belief for the team. Before we dive all the way into that, let's really do a quick accountability check. Last week we did spot the gap and we looked for where do we want to be and where are we now and how big is that gap? How do we really get from point A to point B? How do we close that gap? And I asked you to spot one gap, make the change that you wrote down in the session that we were in, and then notice the shift. And so I'm curious if you want to unmute. There's a small group of us today. If you want to unmute and share what your gap was and what you saw as a shift, dynamite. If you'd rather just hang in the chat, that works too. But I would love to know what's one win since last week. And then also, or what is one gap that you noticed that you already started to feel the shift? Welcome, Ginny. So excited for who you lead. 322 students as of today? What?
It changes like hourly sometimes, but yeah.
Okay. That feels like a lot. Is that a pretty normal number?
No, it's a big jump since last year.
Okay. Okay. I was like, wow, 322. That's a lot of names and a lot of students you get to impact this year. That's exciting. Any wins? Any spotting of the gap? Noticing the shift going on of those of you on the call?
I can share.
Yeah.
Um, we so probably important for other folks. I'm new in this job, but not new to this office. So I'm a returning employee. And we have a document that's called a monthly planner, and it has kind of tasks, but also like consistent project things that happen every semester and every year that have to happen at certain times. And so it helps us with like the ebb and flow of our office. And there are folks who work in this office who support other offices. And so it helps them like manage themselves basically.
Yeah.
And so we have this long list, and then we have a column that indicates like who is the responsible person. And that hadn't been updated in like 2 years. And
Okay.
almost every person and every role in this office has changed people in the last 2 years.
Oof.
And so it really had to be updated. And it was one of those things that constantly like needed to be updated and needed to be updated. And what I had realized, the gap that I had realized when I did this was
Yeah.
that because that had not been updated, people were like uncertain of who was responsible for which thing. And
Yeah.
so, and I think maybe we're a little bit hesitant to be the first ones to update the thing.
Yeah.
So I was the first one to take a stab at updating the first thing. And so that's how I closed it. And then I sent it around to the other folks and they
Yeah.
updated things too. And we had a good conversation about it. And we now have an updated planner for the entire year on
Yeah.
August 14th, which is kind of a big deal. So
So awesome. I love that you did realize too, like this needs to happen. We could wait until, we have time to all sit down in the same room or we have time during the year. Let's just watch what happens for a year and then we'll come back and update it. And you were just like, this is causing people not to be confident in what actions they need to take. And therefore, let's get that ball rolling so we can all be confident and we can all kick off the year, like you said. a week before students arrive and really feel good about what we're about to embark on. And I think, too, opening the door of, hey, these are things I added. Go on through and take a look at it. It means that in October, when they realize something's off or is this really my job or not, they're going to come to you because they know you're looking for clarity over whose roles they are, which I think is going to be so great.
Yep.
I love it. So good. Welcome, Kylie. We are spotting the gap, talking about was there something from last week that you noticed a shift because you took action on? Sarah in the chat said, my gap was to widen my rigid thinking about finances. My win was that I played with flexibility versus rigidity. Is that a word? I love that word. And then not easy. Yeah, not easy to take a look at it and be like, all right, where's the gap? What can I control? What actions can I take? So good. All right, let's fuel the flame, build some belief. Here we go. Belief is contagious. Oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. You guys can't see that, but my screen just did something crazy. Make sure you're spreading what you're spreading is worth catching. So I mentioned that I've worked in lots of different areas. One of my favorite belief stories is when I was teaching. Prior to me taking a 2 year break, I was really burned out and I kept kind of using words to the kids that was kind of showing them like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't have time for that. Like, what I was really saying to them was like, you're an inconvenience. And I did not realize that in the moment. And I can laugh about it now because, as some of you know, I have a very upbeat personality, and yet I was bringing some messaging to them. Even though I was upbeat, I was still bringing this message of like, work is hard, teaching is not always fun, I'm exhausted, and they could feel that. And so what happened when they walked into my room is they were catching the exhaustion, they were catching the overwhelm, they were catching the like, this is work, not this is growth and this is learning and this is exciting. And so I really recognized that when I came back the second time. I was like, nobody's taken my belief down. I'm clearly coming back into the classroom with energy and excitement. I would not come back to teaching if this was not what I wanted to do. And this is not somewhere I felt like I could be authentically myself and truly like help other people. And so let's bring that belief into the classroom. And I'll tell you more about that as we get going here. Today, we're going to do investigate out of the impact model. Again, if you have not seen the impact model, this is my proprietary system to get people to create a thriving culture for themselves and their teams. I call it the 6-step system. And so these are the 6 steps. Today, we're going to focus again on investigate. Notice we're not moving off of that because we got to really soak in where we're at, who we're being, what we want, and get super clear in that investigate phrase. Or excuse me, that investigate phase so that we can get into model and problem solve and appreciate. We are going to dip our toes into cultivate today. And then, of course, we always end with transform. You are not going to be able to make any change unless you truly take action on the things that we discussed today. And so we'll be doing that as well. All right, the loop that people can get caught in, the loop that could cause a lot of stress and frustration. We're just going to call this the culture loop. So we have a belief. We have a belief about everything. You have a belief about Ginny's 322 students. We have a belief about Kylie's business and how she can grow it. We have a belief about how Sarah can impact her relationship clients. We have this belief. Whatever it is, good or bad, it starts to shape our actions and our words. And so, using my school example, if my belief was that this is exhausting, then again, the actions I was showing up with was I was tired. I was not, putting on some dance music at the start of the hour and dancing around and dancing up to the front of the room. I was walking to the front or maybe even sitting at my desk and being like, take your seats. The assignment's on the board. You know what we're doing. Get to work, right? You can just see how that exhausted belief or that belief of this is no longer what I'm called to do really kind of shaped my actions and my words. And that really drove my student experience. It drove their results. It drove the attitudes I got back. And it reinforced that this job is exhausting. And so that's kind of a negative loop. I wanted to connect this to work because I work with a lot of clients when I do culture coaching. And a lot of times my clients get told they are doing culture coaching with me. And sometimes they get into these sessions and they're like, oh, I'm being sent here because my management team won't support me themselves in my growth. They need you to support me. And I'm like, no, 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 no. But we usually kind of talk about this loop of some feelings they're having about their management team or feelings they're having about work in general. And we really look at how this culture loop is affecting them. So if you are coming to work every day thinking your management team is unsupportive, these are maybe some actions and words you might find yourself doing or saying. Number one, this is almost always the case. I overhear leaders say, well, my manager won't help me do this, so I just do it myself. So they start making independent decisions. They don't think they're going to get help from anybody else. And so they just like sit themselves on an island because they don't think they have resources that they can get from their management team. Therefore, they start doing it all. Well, I don't need to ask them. I know what to do. I'll just figure it out, right? They avoid asking for help. They avoid asking for those resources. A lot of times, too, if they feel some tension between their management above them, they will lean on the people below them. And so I have on here, they spend time venting to their team, to their colleagues, and literally wasting some of the time that they have because they're feeling so unsupported. They might say things like, oh, they don't care, or it doesn't matter what they do. They don't really care about what we do in our department, or they never really listen to us. I had a recent scenario where a company was asking me, they said, "Ann, we give out a survey all the time and we ask our people, for feedback, and they don't complete the survey." And I was like, "Do you think they know you're going to look at the survey?" And they're like, "Well, we always do." And I was like, "Have you ever told them what you changed because of the survey?" And they were like, "No." And I'm like, "Yeah, they probably think you don't even listen to what's written in the survey. So why take the time to do it?" And this management team was like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. We've taken a lot of stuff they've said to heart. We've made small changes, but we've never actually announced, like, based on survey results, we heard you. We are taking this new action." And so again, there was some trust that was broken there. What happens then? So we're doing everything ourselves, we're acting independently, we're venting to other people, and we have this mindset or these things out loud that we're saying, like, they don't care, they don't listen to us. Well, then we end up getting fewer resources. Other people, other managers might get more resources because they ask. And so they don't understand our needs or my needs as a manager. And so they don't give me anything that I feel like I need. I might be seen as irreplaceable. Like, well, Anne has it all under control. She never asks for help. She never asks questions. She always gets it done. And so we could never replace her. We could never move her up in management because she does such a good job at where she's at. And so we'll just kind of leave her over on her own island, which for me would then show me, see, they don't even support me. They don't even promote me when there's an opportunity to promote me, even though I work so hard. And so our behavior or our results actually reinforce our negative belief, right? So they stay out of our way, they don't check in, negativity starts to spread. And that belief of, see, you start looking for the evidence of how they're unsupportive. And this is that negative belief loop that we want to crack. I do want to spend just a couple minutes. Is there a belief loop that you have previously had, or maybe one you're running into, right? Jenny mentioned she's going back or she's going into a new job role. Like maybe there's some negative belief you have of yourself stepping into this new position. Actually, everybody on the call right now, I think, is stepping into something new in the next couple months. And so, is there a negative belief you need to just like own, notice, so that we can let it go today? And so I want you to think of a negative belief you've either held about your leadership, your team, your environment, your experience, who you are as a person. Is there a negative belief that's maybe holding you back? It's okay. We're just going to speak it out into existence today, and then we're going to forget about it. We're going to build a new one. But I do want to start there because I think there's a lot of people that want to just forget about this belief and not talk about it and then just say they're going to move on, but hashing it out is actually going to allow you to release it. So, Go ahead and write down one negative belief that might be holding you back, maybe some actions or some words you've taken that maybe reinforce this belief. And then also, maybe what's the result you're getting because of that. And I am going to stop talking for 1 minute while you just kind of brainstorm through this chart. If you want to go ahead and throw in the chat your once held negative belief, it is going to be gone in moments. So it's okay if you want to throw that out there so we can say, that's not real. Let's get that off to the side. Let's move on. Let's build something new. But I think it is important to acknowledge what it is. If you want to drop it in the chat, go for it. If you want to keep it to yourself, that's fine too. Um, for me, I'm not going to necessarily explain exactly what my belief is, but there is definitely a belief of there's something I haven't done yet, and I've tried to do it maybe 4 or 5 times. And because it's failed a few times, my belief kind of sits there of like, I'll never be able to accomplish that. And some actions and words that I wrote down was like, I'll use like, oh, well, maybe, or like one day, or at some point. And these are phrases, not like I'm going to. Those are not words I'm using. I'm like, well, maybe at some point, or maybe in the future, right? Like it's very cautious instead of convicted and confident. And then another action I notice I take is I like self-sabotage and I start to slow down the actions that'll get me this thing that I want. I just like I drip it instead of actually going all in, which is really not helping me. And so the result that I'm getting from that is like slow momentum. It's like slowly building because I think some people can feel my conviction, even if my words and actions aren't really that out there and confident. But it's not building at the rate that I want. Love it. Ooh, Kylie put in the chat. I don't have authority. And so sometimes if we think I don't have authority on this topic or I don't have authority in this arena, then our actions and words are really small. And so our results are really small because we're not coming out the gate with energy and excitement. And people are really attracted to energy and excitement. Kylie, good news for you. They're actually not attracted that much to authority. They are attracted to momentum. They're attracted to that spark and that energy. And so if you can flip that belief today instead of, I don't have authority, the belief is just like, I have energy and positive momentum. Like I can just see how this would really shift for you. I love it. Sarah, I know more than administration. Oh, this was a negative belief. I love this. I know more than administration. So the actions were she was not present, too present, ready to take it over, point out things that are going wrong. And the result was staff feels like I'm intimidating, I'm unapproachable. Oh, so good. There was a definite season. And maybe sometimes I still fill in that box. Because you want to help, right? Like I know Sarah and I know Sarah wants to help. Um, and so that's why she takes kind of these roles and these actions. But so I love that just looking at that negative belief that really drove your actions and trying to switch that to really create a positive belief. That's so good. So good. Awesome. Let's keep going. So now let's reframe, right? Let's either take your negative belief and throw it out the window, and we're going to grab a new one. Or, like I was mentioning with Kylie's, you could take that negative belief, remold it into a positive belief, and then we can do this activity with that. But I do want us to brainstorm. So, something I was realizing is I've never really talked to a group before about starting with the results. I think a lot of times I start with, what do you believe? What do you believe? What do you believe? And that's great. And I want everybody thinking about their beliefs. But I also want it really driven toward your vision, right? In the first two sessions, we were looking at who do you need to be and what do you really want? And so if you have those handy, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. But take a look at what results do you want for your team? And then what belief do you need to go all in on so that you can get that result? And if you are not leading a team and you are just leading yourself, as I know some of you are, what result do you want for yourself? Let's take a deep dive into those, list them out. This is a brainstorm. And then to the right, what's a belief I need to have in order to get that result? So again, I'm going to give you a minute. Just a reminder, if you're watching the replay, use the minute, let the video play so that you can be in the workbook writing your answers down instead of trying to putz and fast forward to where we start back again. Instead, just allow the video to play while you fill in the workbook, because the more that you fill things in, the more it's going to sink in, the more you're going to be able to apply it after you are off this call. So go ahead and brainstorm results and beliefs and have no worry about what you're supposed to be focused on right now. Just really brain dump all the results you want and then maybe some of the beliefs you might need to have in order to get those results. And we'll do about a minute, 2 minutes. While I'm speaking, I usually let people know if they're going to share this or not. We're not sharing these. This is really time for you to dive deep into, what do I really want? What do I want to see? What do I want to feel? And then what new belief do I just need to embrace in order to experience that, in order to see that? All right. I needed us to investigate what those negative beliefs were, but also what belief do we really want to be convicted in and go all in on? Because when you are convicted in a belief, people can feel it. And so I want us to, I'm going to walk through an idea and then I'll have you guys pick one belief. But I wanted to talk about something that's been happening. I culture coach a company in manufacturing. And in the last year, I started working with this company last September. And in the last year, they have gone through so many changes. so many changes in management, so many changes in processes, and they are about to embark on a crazy technological shift. Like the entire organization is developing a brand new system, technology system, for them to communicate. And so it's kind of like some of you work for companies who went to a shift to like Microsoft Teams, and everybody was like, "What? How does this work? How do we set up meetings? How do we run our calendars or things like that?" Well, this is even bigger. They had to take all of the information that this company needs on their sales orders and their parts and their processes, and they had to put it into a new system so that now all of them can utilize it. And it's exhausting. They started this process in January, and the new system doesn't get implemented until October. And so for January, well, even before that, back in October, November, December, when they're trying to make decisions, do we switch technologies? Do we stay with what we want? They were really stressed out thinking about how are we going to teach our hundreds of employees how to use a new system. We've always had the same system. We've had the same system for 45 years. Why would we change now, right? And then they started getting in on these calls. They made the decision to go to this new technology, and now they're getting in on these calls, and everybody's frustrated. They don't even know how to get into the program. They don't know how to utilize it. They don't know how to access their old information. And there was just stress. And the belief of this is not going to work started tearing everyone apart because Anne, who's super tech savvy, might get in there and be going a little ways and then all of a sudden get stuck on something and turn to Sarah to ask a question. And Sarah would be like, yeah, this is terrible, right? Like, this is so exhausting. I can't even find it either. And everybody started spiraling. And so, a couple of the managers that I was working with of my own clients, I was like, what do we need to believe about this? Because if everyone's frustrated and everyone's overwhelmed, like everybody's holding on to that and they're looking for evidence how this is overwhelming and this is frustrating. So what's the belief? And they're like, well, in the end, and this is going to be so good. And I was like, that's the first time I've heard that in 5 months. What do you mean it's going to be so good? All I keep hearing about is how awful it is, how stressful it is, how overwhelming it is. It's going to be good. And this gentleman was like, it's going to be awesome. It is going to save all of us so much time and headache. It's going to make us more efficient. It's going to make us more productive. And he just went all out and he was like glowing. He was so excited. He's like, but it's going to take us a year to get there. And that's exhausting. And I hear it. I get it. But I was like, wow. So you're telling me this new technology will help us make more money. It will help us get more orders out the door. It will help us clearly communicate with each other. It will save us money. It is going to do all of this stuff. And yet we're frustrated and overwhelmed, which I'm not downplaying that people are frustrated and overwhelmed learning something new. But when the leadership and the management is not going all in, that, hey, learning something new can be tricky, but in the end, this is truly going to make our company better. It's going to make us more money. All of us are going to financially benefit from this new system. Well, that's a very different belief, right? And so we really took a look at, okay, if that's true, this new technology is going to help us improve, it's going to help us be more successful. What kind of actions can each of my leaders be taking to show the team that that's true? And so some of the things we had discussed was like they need to ask questions out loud in front of other people. Like, oh, this looks like it's going to do X, Y, and Z. Is that correct? And so really making sure everybody understands how much this new technology is going to help them. They obviously need to learn the new tools. And I told my managers, I know you're busy. I know you've got a lot on your plate, but the faster you can figure it out and the faster you're confident in the new technology, the faster everybody else is going to jump on board. And so if you have, on Tuesday, you have to learn this program for an hour, do it from 8 to 9 a.m. Do it early in the morning and then say to people, oh, it was so great. Or, oh, I learned how to do this today. Wait till you get to, this module. It's going to be so great. So really learn the new tools, bring up the successes they've experienced. One of them really realized how efficient this is going to make them, shaving hours, like 6 hours off of his project, how he works on his projects. He was like, Anne, 6 hours saved for every single project I do. And he's like, right now I'm doing about a project a week Just imagine how much more I can do when the system is in place. And I was like, tell them that, tell them that, tell the people. And then look for evidence on why it's working and why it's going well. Things that we started working on phrasing because they're in a lot of meetings. A lot of my clients are managers at this company and they're in a lot of meetings. And I was like, the more that you can stay in the positive frame, the more people are going to get on board. And so them saying like, oh, I'm excited for the launch in October. I'm excited to learn that new step. I'm excited for when we jump on a call where all of us are together working through the order. Like use the word excited because otherwise if you're tired and overwhelmed and frustrated, that's how people are going to show up on these calls. This is going to be better in the long run. Like, oh, I know this is frustrating, but man, I just can't wait till June of next year when this is fully implemented and life is so good, right? I know it's not easy now, but imagine how much easier this is going to get, right? And so, really helping them understand how this is going to help them in the long run. So then what was the results that they wanted to see out of their team? They wanted their teams diving into the new tools. Stop complaining, stop saying how hard it is, and just dive in, just start using it. More positive talk then around it, asking for wins when they were at running their own department meetings. And then obviously they wanted improved outcomes. And so we started this early June. My coaching time with them, it runs for 12 weeks. That ended in the middle of July. And we got on a group call the first week of July. And I said, hey, real quick, how is X and X system going? And the two that I went all in on this beliefs with did not speak. And four of the other gentlemen were like, it's actually going pretty good. Like we were pretty frustrated a couple weeks ago, but we just kind of realized like this is really going to help in the long run. And they like started repeating these phrases. Like I'm actually kind of excited for next June. And I was just like grinning ear to ear. My two clients that we really worked on this, they were like, they're saying the words we said 3, 4 weeks ago. Like they're literally repeating things we've been saying. And so I want you to know that when you go all in on this belief and you really look at what you can do, what you can control in those actions category, and when you start using the words, people start believing it and it spreads. That's why this call was called Fuel the Flame. There is a flame inside everybody. It just might not be fueled because of some of that negativity, because of some of that, some of what they're experiencing. And you, as the leader, have the opportunity to really start to fuel that flame and get everybody really pumped to do an incredible job and really, serve others or work with others or build something really beautiful. And so, on that note, let's dive in. Let's get some action time in here. I want you to look at that list that you had on your brainstorm. Out of those beliefs, which one do you think would really truly set you up for success for the rest of the year? So we've got 4 months left, September, October, November, December. Yes, we have half of August. I'm not erasing August. For some of you, you're like, wait, slow down. That's fine. It takes a little time to build some belief, which is what you're going to be doing for the next couple weeks. And then it's going to really take off. What do you want to see for the remainder of your year? If you start to build it now, what results do you want to see? What actions do you want to take? What words and phrases do you want to use? Does anybody need any clarification on this? The words and phrases one, I am going to just take a quick second. My favorite word to use is trust when you're working with a team. Sometimes when we look at micromanagement or a team, thinking their managers are unsupportive, there's this piece of trust that's not there. And so really starting to use just the word trust, I would put in that box. And maybe it's trust yourself. But the word is like, I trust you. I trust that'll get done. I trust that'll be accomplished by the deadline. I trust that you'll ask me any questions you need answered. There is a way for you to make a really big impact on your team just by using the word trust. So just throwing that out there. But if you want to spitball ideas as you're writing things down, awesome. I'm here to live coach if we want in the next couple minutes. Otherwise, we can also just hang low and fill out your one belief. You're not doing more than one today. One belief. What are some bulleted actions you can take to build on that belief, show that that belief is real? What words and phrases can we use? And then what results are we looking to get? And you can also drop any questions in the chat as well. But I will give you a couple of minutes. I love that. Sarah put in the chat actions with her belief. Oh, sorry, rewind a little bit too. Oh, no, actions with her belief. Ask if I can share an idea with coworkers or admin. So ask permission before just announcing that idea or things like that. I like this. I might say, how do you think blank is going? So almost start with like a check-in instead of starting with a solution. And I know that sometimes I'm a solution focused individual. I want to start with the solution. But I might be talking to somebody who doesn't even think there's a problem to be solved. And so me coming with a solution feels like I now have all the answers to a problem that maybe they didn't think even existed. And so I love this idea that Sarah has of like, hey, how do you think this is going? To kind of check the temperature, check the gauge. And then is it possible to share an idea with you one on one about this topic, things like that. So, really opening that invitation. I like that she wrote result. People know that I'm willing to see it from their point of view. I'm also, I think, too, the thing you're saying is by asking, how do you think this is going? You're really opening up to listen. You're giving them the opportunity. You're acting very curious, which I know we talk about a lot. And so to be willing to see their point of view, but also be willing to listen to what they have to say. And then admin knows I'm interested in problem solving. And again, I think sometimes people come out the gate with a solution and we're not even sure why they brought that up. And so to be really clear in your communication so that you're saying, I'm interested in helping reduce blank, something maybe that they talk about in the staff meeting, something along those lines, so that it's not coming out as this is a problem and I have a solution and you need to listen to me. I love that you're saying, I'm willing to see it from your point of view, but I'm also willing to look at some solutions to, aid in this situation. So, so good. All right. Before we move into transform, just something I really want you convicted on. I have seen this scenario play out so much and sometimes in a way that literally tears a team apart when the words might be, we're going to work together as a team, but the actions and the words and phrases that are said out loud at the staff meeting, that are said out loud in the break room, do not match that we're going to work together on this as a team. I have another client that I work with, and she is really big about wanting her team to feel like a team. And the other day, she made a comment about, yep, and I just told them just bring anything to me and I'll take care of it. And I was like, you taking care of it, how does that help the team grow as a team? And she was like, well, I just want to reduce their stress. I just want to make sure I can handle all the stuff that's being thrown at them easier than they can. And I was like, ooh, honey, that feels like a belief. It feels like you're saying you can't handle it. You're overwhelmed. Let me save you instead of let's work together as a team. Let's solve these issues together. And so it was really interesting because she's been saying to her team, I want to be more of a team. And yet maybe that action might have really held them back from feeling like a team member and a competent member of the team. And so really making sure people understand this is my belief and I want to mirror that. I want to do the things I am saying behind this belief because whether you like it or not, you can be saying whatever words you want to say and, sharing your belief. But if your actions and words do not match, people can read that. They read it very quickly and your results are going to show that your results are going to show what your actions and words drive them to do instead of showing you that belief that you're trying to say over and over and over. All right. On that note, so we've cultivated that belief. Now we've got to transform. Belief is a choice. Intentional actions fuel change. So while we're wrapping up, thinking about how do we go take this and now go move forward, you made that giant action list. You made the list of the words and the phrases you're going to use. Now let's just commit to a few of them. I think a lot of times we get going in these calls and we realize that there's so much to do. I could do this. I could do this. I could do this. I wrote down 7 actions I could take to show off my belief. And then I wrote 1, 2, 3, 6 words I could use. That's a lot. And me going into the next couple days, I'm going to forget a lot of this. And so I really want you thinking about which one can you start immediately with. So I will start immediately with, what is it? Is it an action? Is it a word? Is it a phrase? What is something you're going to start immediately with? Put that under the transform header. And then what are you going to implement? What from that action list are you going to actually have to plan to implement? And so, if you say, my action is going to be to communicate to my team more. Great. That's very vague. Does that mean you're going to set up a weekly staff meeting? Does that mean you're going to touch base with each of them one time a week? When? So, my plan to implement whatever action, great. What is it? What's that plan? What do you need to go do? What's the first thing you need to do in order to create that action? Oops. I love it. The last thing, my challenge for you at the bottom of your workbook page is post your belief where you'll see it daily. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that this is a belief we're working on, right? It's a new muscle. Actually, Sarah just put, I'm going to work on flexing my patience muscle, right? Your belief muscle, this new belief. It doesn't just, you don't just say today, like, I now think my team is amazing. And all of a sudden your team shows up differently. No, it's not how it works. I'm so sorry. I wish I could just sprinkle some fairy dust, and that is how it works. And so you really need to flex this belief muscle. You really need to see it every single day and remind yourself, this is what I'm doing today. This is what I'm going to believe. This is what we're going to put forward into action. And then I want you to try in the next 2 days. You got the afternoon today. It's already Thursday, the afternoon today, and Friday tomorrow. Hopefully, you're all working on a Friday, or maybe not. But use one intentional word or phrase as you go forward. Again, if you look at some of the major the coaches that they've written books about and things like that, a lot of those coaches had like one phrase that they just said over and over, and their actions and their words and their results built on that one phrase. That's kind of what I'm hoping that you do with this belief is you take this belief and you're like, I'm going to go all in for the next X many weeks, X many months. And this is going to be it. This is going to be the focus. And all my actions and my words are going to be building this belief. Because here's what happens. Let's go back to my first scenario coming back to school and being excited about school, showing up, being pumped. And man, was I met with like a whole different student attitude than I had experienced before I left. I had only been gone for 2 years, but man, the belief in the building had really shifted and I was not ready for it. And so I walk into an environment where there's not a lot of trust. The students did not trust me. Some of them didn't know me. And I kept saying, like, don't you know me? Do you know who I am? It is way too loud in here. Don't you know what I expect? No, they had no clue. And so I really had to go all in on my expectations and be super clear. But one thing I would say every single day is I would tell them to put their cell phones away, and then I would be like, we're gonna have fun today. And I know that sounds silly, but everything I did was to be about engagement and connection. And if I would have said like, we're going to connect today, we're going to engage today, students would have rolled their eyes and probably like asked to go to the bathroom, right? And so instead, I would say, we're going to have fun today. Hey, I need you to do these things because we're going to have fun today. And the belief became, we have fun in Mrs. Vote's room. And again, I'm using fun because I'm talking to eighth graders, but in my brain, it's we engage and we connect in here. And that is what's going to drive motivation. That is what's going to drive achievement. That is what's going to drive success for these kids. And we packaged it as fun, but man, it really meant we're going to listen to each other. We're going to laugh in here. We are going to listen to upbeat music to get the vibe going because it is after lunch and all of us want to take a nap, right? But we are going to connect and we are going to engage so that we can truly learn and grow. And it was incredible what it did for the classroom and for the kids. So I really want you to grab hold of your belief statement and really put it on repeat for yourself. Next week, Spark by Example. We've got our last session, session 4. It is on Tuesday, the 19th at 1 p.m. It is Spark by Example, duplicating your momentum. So, how can we take what we've gotten here and now share that into your team, even though they weren't on these calls? That is what leadership is you investigating for yourself and then you modeling it out for your team so that they can cultivate this belief and truly transform your culture with you, so that you can create momentum, reduce your stress, enjoy your job, and truly create an experience where everybody can thrive. I'm super excited for that next week. Once again, let's stay connected. There was a memo that went out today. There's a couple fun things going on. The Leader Collaboratory cohort is going to be dropping in September. I am going to change up. If you go to the Leader Collaboratory page, right now the button says like register today. It's not open yet. So there's going to be a new button that you can sign up for. You can click that just makes sure you're in the loop when the information comes out so you don't miss an email. And so I'm excited for that. If you are interested in culture coaching, I know I talked about that a little bit on here. I serve all types of clients. And so if you are interested in sitting down and having a weekly conversation about how to truly build momentum, I'm here for you on that. Just reach out and connect with us. Thank you so much for being here today. Those of you that are in the chat, either give me your belief. I'd love to know what it is because I'm nosy. But also just anything from today that you're like, yes, yes, I needed that. I love Ginny wrote, I use a lot of fun in this office, Anne. Especially when, students are going to start flooding in next week. Like, this is fun. This is fun. This is exciting. I love that. Let me know what you're thinking. Oh, we can change the world, Kylie. You can change the world. I'm so excited for you and for that. The cycle connected to belief was very impactful. So much so, Sarah. I think when you can really recognize what that belief is that's driving your actions, kind of reflect on that, it really helps you reset that belief and truly know that you're working towards a different result, which is great. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. We will see you next Tuesday to Spark by Example. We'll see you then. Thank you.